Hi, this is The Greatest Story Ever Played. I'm Dan, and today I'm going to be talking about Bury Me, My Love. The description for this game is a journey of love, danger, and hope. Bury Me, My Love tells the story of a Syrian refugee, Noor, and her husband, Majid, as Noor undertakes a perilous journey to safety in Europe. The little bit of background that I do have on this is it was developed by the Pixel Hunt, Figs Lab, and then ARTE with an E at the end, and then I think France, it was FR next to it. Characters again is Majid, that's you, that's who you play as, and then Noor is your wife, who you're texting. And that's how this story is told, is through a series of text messages as she's leaving Syria and trying to get over to Europe and make it there as a refugee, and then you're, I think, already in Europe, and so you're kind of giving her advice along the way and that sort of deal. As with every game, I'm going to spoil this completely, so if you want to play it, go play it. I know it's on Steam. I played it on my phone, and I think it was like $3 or something like that. Not very much money. So recommend checking that out. The game begins with Noor trying to get out of the country, and I believe it's set in present day or in the last year too. It's recent. The game came out recently, but I think it's also set in present times. So Noor's trying to get out of Syria. Of course, there's civil unrest and everything. It's not a good scene over there. So she's trying to get out of country. She ultimately ends up crossing the border out of Syria. However, on the way out, she keeps passing out because she's so hot. Because she's carrying a bunch of stuff. She's got a lot of clothes on because she's trying to make this journey over to Europe. So it's really quite the slog to try to get there. So she's trying to be prepared. And so she keeps passing out. And something that happens is she ends up getting groped by several men when she passes out, which of course she's fucked up by, and you, being Majid, you're righteously upset, and about that, but also reassuring your wife, no, you're fine, they're the gross ones, like that kind of thing. But pretty crazy, already adversity is setting in, that you're leaving your ruined country really to try to go elsewhere, and then you've got other bad shit going on along the way. After this, she arrives in Zatari, which is a refugee camp that's just outside of Syria's border, and they meet their friend Adnan there. And Adnan has been living at the refugee camp for a while at this point, but he also seems to be almost like the hustler or the smuggler inside the camp. So he can actually get outside of the camp, which you're not supposed to do, I guess. When you go to the refugee camp, you're just supposed to stay there and live there until you get moved to your new home in Europe or the USA or whatever country takes you. But he, I don't know, has a system worked out with the guards or knows a spot to sneak through or something like that. So he kind of comes and goes. And so he is able to arrange for her to be able to make it to an airport to fly out of there. So he takes Noor to the airport. While at the airport, her plane flies to Cairo, Egypt. However, when she is in the airport, she gets held up by security because she doesn't have a visa to be there. And so security doesn't want to let her out of Cairo's airport, but they don't want to send her anywhere else because I'm guessing they don't want to, I don't know, get in trouble or something like that for sending someone to another country that they're not supposed to be in without the visa or whatever. So that's sort of the situation. She ends up getting taken to a holding cell at the airport to kind of await more things. A little while later, this English journalist whose name is Terry gets locked in the cell with Noor. And at first, Noor is kind of like, man, she's obnoxious. This is difficult. However, Terry ends up causing a buzz on Twitter, being a journalist, and it's kind of like, I'm being held up in Cairo unjustly. They won't give me my rights, blah, blah, blah. And because Nora's with her, she manages to get released by the authorities along with Terry, and she gets a flight booked to Istanbul, so going over to Turkey. And that works. She gets out of this situation by essentially teaming up with Terry in this kind of a unexpected ally or unintentional ally. It kind of works out in her favor. Now at Istanbul, she gets there and she needs to get to the border to get smuggled over to Greece. And so she starts in Istanbul, and she's 3 hours away from the border. There's a city near there. So she decides, okay, I will do that. She meets a guy who's Syrian who says, I can get you across to Greece. I've got a way. Nor decides to throw in with him. But then, I don't know, there are times where it seems sketchy as it goes. But she decides, let's do this. She ends up with an Iraqi family, and there's 7 of them who are supposed to be in this inflatable boat. They inflate the boat, and they're trying to go across the river to get to the barge. A little while later, Nora texts you and tells you that the boat is capsized and that she's stuck on a barge. And she's expressing that she's very cold. And you can even sense this in the text messages you're getting, because her spelling is off a little bit. Her, it'd be like cold and have like, a couple C's in front, or, different things like that. You can tell stuff's not right. And you're trying to reassure her and say, get up and run. Just run, move. And she's like, I can't, I'm so cold. And so you're trying to persuade her. And then you get an audio message. And it's of Noor saying, I'm so cold. I can't go to sleep. I know I can't go to sleep. But I'm going to just lay here for a little bit. But I'm so cold. And then I'll move. But I won't fall asleep. And then, okay, well, if I fall asleep, I know you'll come wake me up. So, you'll come wake me up. Over. So Noor froze there, which is super hard hitting. Really, really hard hitting. To have that happen and to hear it. This is the first time there's been audio in the game. The rest of the time it's been text messages, and you do some emojis and like a couple like selfies within the game, back and forth, that sort of stuff. But it's not that was a punch home for sure. Moving to some general thoughts. First one is I only found out about this game actually because of the Minigame podcast, which is one of the offshoots from the Lore Party Network, where each episode is a shorter game like this. So I'd heard about this from there, so thank you, Minigame. I would not have heard about this game without that, so very cool. Other things about the game? I would say that this is pretty similar to Emily is Away, actually. And in this, you do have branching paths, just like in Emily is Away. But I would say that the paths are a little bit more clear. So, for instance, when you're like meeting the guy to choose to go across the boat or not, you can say no or yes and like advise Noor either way. And so it's clear there's a decision that's important. However, it is unclear as to what the result of the decision will be. So that's or to throw in with Terry, I think you can be friends with her, or you can be kind of negative towards her. And so that's something that's pretty interesting in this game, is your decisions are fairly obvious at times, but what the result of the decision is fairly unknown. And I think that probably is pretty accurate as to what this situation would be like. Being Noor, is you want to get over to Europe, but how can you do it? Will these have good consequences or bad consequences? Will someone help you or will someone hurt you? All of that stuff. And so that's pretty cool. I think they capture that very well. And within that, there's a powerlessness that you feel as Majid, texting your wife, trying to help her navigate these situations. I know for me, as I was playing, I kind of struggled between trying to trust the person on the ground, like she's there. So I want to trust you, but then also I don't want to, and I don't want to just like boss you around from afar. But also, like, there were times where Nora was clearly like upset and maybe had a harder time making a choice because she was going through some shit. And so you'd want to be like, well, do this, that kind of thing. So it was pretty challenging, and I think you felt the powerlessness that Majid would feel too. So I think that they really, really captured this. I can only imagine that this is what this feels like. It's tough. There's something else in the game that's really cool. I didn't play it this way, but you can play it in such a way, so it's text messages, but so there'll be times where it's like you got a text at 6 a.m., but then your next text isn't until noon. And you can play the game in such a way that, you just get them in as it goes. But you can also play the game where you get your text messages in real time, so you don't get an answer for 4 hours or whatever. Or if it's not real time, it's still a delayed amount where I'm guessing you get your phone alerts that like, okay, you can play the game again now, which I kind of wish I would have played that way in retrospect, to be able to have these experiences of like you're waiting for the text from your wife. Like, ooh, powerful idea. And I think I shortchanged myself a little bit by not doing that. But yeah, pretty cool. I guess also for me, a thing that really drew this game to me is in college I actually did a internship at a refugee resettlement agency. And so this is something that I care about, that I've had personal involvement with, that I think is important. And so to find out that there's actually a game that talks about this stuff where you get to kind of play through some of it, it is cool. I think it's often I don't know, lesser seen or misunderstood thing in the world. And so that was pretty cool in that. And I don't know, getting a glimpse in that. Of course, for me, working in the refugee resettlement agency, the people I ever worked with were people who had lived in a refugee camp and then had moved to the United States and started living here. And so when I met them, it was all like getting their life started in the United States, like that kind of thing. But that was pretty cool. Like, that was a cool experience for me personally, but it was a cool experience to kind of see within this. So we got that, and then the last thing is I want to give a book recommendation, which is called Refugee by Alan Gratz, Gratz, and this book's pretty cool. It's a fiction book. It's like a historical fiction, and it tells the story of 3 different refugees trying to immigrate to different places. And it's pretty interesting just hearing these different refugees' stories as to trying to come to the U.S. and getting personalization of like these are the characters you travel with and you're really there with. So if you do have an interest in learning more about refugees, I highly recommend checking out that book, playing this game. I think just getting that experiential stuff with it would be cool and worthwhile. So definitely recommend it. Overall, yeah, game was good. I think just getting another type, really, I guess, of Emily is a way, having a different area, different genre instead of friendship. That difficulty, this really challenge of your spouse being away from you. It was pretty good, pretty well done, I would say. And I look forward to seeing what games they might make in the future. I think that this is a real issue in society today, and like people figuring this out, problems people face and stuff. And so I don't know if they would hit up this again from a different angle, or if they have a new topic they'd want to address or look into. But I'm certainly interested. And I guess that really wraps up the game. This episode. The game was pretty short in itself too. I think it was, I don't know, hour and a half, maybe 2, but I'm thinking more like hour and a half, hour. Not too long. Not a long game for sure. And so if you have comments on any of this stuff, please write in. You can talk to us on Twitter at StoryEverPod. You can email us at TheGreatestStoryEverPlayed at gmail.com. Our website's TheGreatestStoryEverPlayed.com, and you can look at other episodes there, or anything like that if you'd like. you can, if you'd like to financially support the podcast, you can do that at patreon.com/TheGreatestStoryEverPlayed. And for as little as $1 a month, you could support the podcast. It would be a big help. And also we do bonus episodes that go on there as being a supporter that you would have specific access to. So that would be cool if you're interested in that. Also, if you would like to rate and review our podcast on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast, that would be a big help just in increasing visibility of the show. So we can enjoy it together with more people. And yeah, I'll see you next time, and thanks for